talk about equipment at some point.
There you go. Nate's rocking. See that?
Yeah, I still owe Peter a copy of this. I'll get it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, listen to me.
That's still always the best way to start the show. This is the Chris and Mike Show. I'm Chris. He's Mike. Over there we got Nate Palmer, the $1 Million Body. And then we have health and wellness coach Peter Ho. And it's a landmark occasion if you're not realizing this, boys and girls. Number one, this is our 100th episode. And number two, it's the first time we've had two guests on at the same time.
Yeah, this is awesome.
This is really cool. So I'm excited.
What did you mean when you said that me and Peter had to fight before this episode?
Well,
and we were
no,
off the air? Why did you say that?
It was a Royal Rumble, you know.
Is he being an instigator?
You're what did I explain this to Mike? You're like the fitness. I don't want to say guru because that puts you in a box, but you're like a very dialed in, focused fitness guy because from when you were on our show before, you've been there, done that. You've failed so many times, but those failures have led to successful ventures and things like you talked about writing books, but nobody wanted the book you wrote, you know? So you have all these stepping stones you've come across to be the $1 million body trainer that you are. And then we have Peter Ho, who's I don't know how long you've been in health and fitness, but it's kind of a relatively new thing, right?
I've been in it for 5 years.
Okay, so 5 years. Gotcha. But so it's just one of those things that when I asked Nate, I said, "Hey, dude, is it okay if Peter Ho, the health and wellness coach, comes on the show?" He's like, "Yeah, can I pick a fight?"
Peter, did he just lightly roast both of us? Was he just like these? Yeah, like was that like a real underhanded compliment? Did you get that too?
No. What are you talking about? You guys are awesome. That's why you're here, man. And Mike had technical difficulties when Nate was on the first time. So this is kind of cool, Nate, that now Mike can actually engage in conversation and not just sit there and all of a sudden go out, which, internet. And just so people know, I'm in Arizona, Nate's in Arizona, Mike's in Illinois, and Peter Ho's in SoCal. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful thing about
We
technology.
have almost stretched the entire country.
We have. I see you stepping back there, Nate. So go ahead. What do you want to talk about, man? So, Peter. So we did the. We're still doing the no bread, no bad starch. So crackers, tortillas, chips. Ironically enough, this is going to trip you out probably too, Nate. I talked to Mike about it. So I had the degenerating vertebrae in my neck, and I don't know. Since I got off my boot, I've always been in pain. Like there's just constant, dull, fuck you pain. Since I stopped the bread and the bad starch, the crackers and stuff, I legit have had no pain at all. I've had a couple little episodes where it was tingling. But like legitimate, there's been no neck pain.
That's amazing.
Right?
I'm not super surprised, but honestly, that's incredible, and I'm so excited for you. Plus, I don't want to say this like up front and like inflate your ego, but your arms are looking really good too. So, holy shit!
I work
dude.
out.
I can see it.
And then
but you're just like I feel like in the last month or so, your arms have looked a lot bigger because you've dropped fat. And a lot of people don't realize. Like if you drop fat, guys will ask you like, what are you doing? Did you gain some size? Because you just reveal the muscle underneath.
Right. No, I just stopped eating bread.
Can you just stay flexing the whole episode? That'd be great.
So the other thing we did was sugar.
Awesome.
So Nikki was always putting sugar in her tea. No, it's to switch it up. Whew. And so we could take our shirts off and have a flex off, Nate.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Nate will beat me. Nate's score is fucking amazing. But we also stopped sugar. So now I wasn't somebody that put sugar in coffee. I've always put honey in my coffee. But I have put soy milk and things like that, so I stopped that completely. So did Nikki, and I stopped having my Oreos every night. So since the Sunday after you were on, we quartered you, Peter. We've done no bread and no like bullshit sugar as far as adding sugar. We can't, sugar isn't the shit you eat, right? And we also tried to pay attention more to the whole food side of life. So I stopped rice too, by the way, which was really fucking hard. Replaced that with quinoa. And then any starches at dinner would have been sweet potatoes or regular potatoes. Stopped using all the oils. We got the avocado oil. I actually boiled. This is pretty cool. I boiled some potatoes. Okay, potatoes from the motherland. I boiled the potatoes. I sliced them up into wedges, and then I put them on to the pan with the avocado oil, and just crisped them up.
Like a little home fry action.
Oh, dude, it was
Do you ever do those in the
so
oven?
good.
Roasted
No.
potatoes in the oven are bomb.
Okay, we'll try those. They were
That's
so
the
good.
best.
Also, I got a hot take for you.
Yeah.
Quinoa's bullshit.
Okay.
Hot take for you. Quinoa's bullshit, and Tupac's not even on the same level as Notorious B.I.G. Hot takes right off the bat.
Okay.
I don't like quinoa because look at this. Because you ate quinoa when last night.
I didn't eat it last night. We've just used it. We've eaten it. We've eaten it off and on for the last couple of weeks. Whenever I would make my burritos for lunch, right?
Yeah.
Which I replaced my tortillas with egg wraps per Peter.
Amazing.
Fucking solid, Peter. It's legit.
There you go.
Put
I
them in
forget
the
what
pan.
brand you use. That's solid.
Yeah, I don't know what brand it is, but I know it's just egg white basically in the tortilla. So if you don't know that, people, egg wrap. Mike's sitting here
nice.
like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I eat burritos every day.
Oh yeah. I ain't
Wow,
changed
just
anytime
like
soon.
just rounding out the roast. Okay,
Right, right.
I'm glad because Peter and I got it early. Now Mike can get it.
So,
But here's what you look at quinoa. You eat quinoa
Okay.
at nighttime.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, you see quinoa in the toilet. Like it didn't digest. That's got a
really?
hard shell on it. You know, it's like corn.
It's a corn.
So
Yeah.
I'm not a
Oh.
huge fan of quinoa for that reason. Plus, some people who have like the gastrointestinal where it can actually get caught up in your small intestine, large intestine.
like
just
an
main-
IBS, you mean? Where
Yeah.
they have an irritable bowel or whatever.
Yeah, it's something. It's called. It's some. There's a specific word. I'm blanking on it right now. But
okay.
but I like rice. I think rice is fine. Brown rice is fine. White rice is fine. There's no difference between the two.
Really?
And yeah, I feel like it's a very innocuous carb.
What do you have to say about that, Peter?
Yeah. Rebuttal.
It's still a bad carb. I mean, it depends on how it processes your body because I feel like everyone's gastro test is different, you know. And I feel like for Chris, obviously, it's working for him. If he's taking all bad starch and everything, he feels really good about it. But I feel like everyone's body is very different when it comes to processing those foods and digesting those foods.
The other weird thing is I'm 55. Okay, so I'm
That is weird. Yeah. No, thanks for acknowledging that. We all got together to talk about it.
You're welcome. I'm Chris. I'm 55. I have a problem. So, but what I've noticed,
burritos.
He does like burritos. What I've noticed is I'm not tired. Like, right? So I legit, I would nap. I would even if it was just a 20-minute nap every day. I would take 20-minute nap. Sometimes 45-minute nap. No naps since I did the whole no starch, no bread, no bad. And what I talked about before was just so people understand, bread, Ritz's, Triscuits, and saltines and tortillas were everyday diet. That was every day. I'd have the tortilla for lunch. I would have that medley of crackers for an afternoon snack. I'd have
What
it at
you're
night.
just like eating saltine crackers.
I would eat. Yeah, I would just.
That's unhinged behavior, bro. You're eating saltine crackers? You just have like a gallon of water there? You're just punishing yourself? What's going on?
No,
Are
I
you
would
okay?
No
I
peanut
would
butter or
Blink twice
anything?
if Nikki's
No,
hitting you.
No peanut butter. I would I would take, legit, I would take probably 3 or 4 of each of those crackers, put them in a baggie, so then when I at the office Monday, Wednesdays, that's part of my snack.
You're like, oh, let me pick the 4 worst crackers known
Right.
to man.
Right. But I didn't know. I didn't know they were bad. Now I do. Now I'm kind of thinking.
No, I'm saying they taste bad. I'm saying they're
Oh.
not. There's nothing redeeming about them.
Well, I don't know. I like.
It's like, oh, I just hate having all this moisture in my mouth. What could I do to get rid of that?
Well, your
That's why
wife.
he's got the water.
Just go grab your wife, man. Honey.
Honey, spit in my mouth. What are we talking about?
I was more referencing going downtown, but okay. But I'm bump.
Everyone has different gastrointestinal tracts. We already established.
Hey, a healthy sex life leads to a healthy life. Like it makes
science.
you live longer. It gives you less stress, less anxiety. So I'm a big proponent in having regular sex. So that you guys that are not married down here, go out, find some hookers, get some natural blow. Okay, not the bad stuff. Get the good stuff.
The organic.
Organic blow.
Only
and have
from
fun.
Colombia and Peru.
And have fun, man.
This is the health advice you didn't know you needed.
Maybe-
All right, Chris,
maybe-
sex question. Are you a like off the cuff, impromptu, like rom-com style sex guy, or are you like, hey, on Wednesday nights we have sex? Like, do you have it planned in advance?
We are very active in our 30 plus years together, probably 3 to 5 times a week. Once summer starts, it can end up about 4 or 5. So it just depends. You know, there's days where I'll just shoot her a text, hey, explain something, and then, you know.
Eggplant emoji.
Right.
Yeah, got it.
Right. So there's random, there's planned, there's, you know, that's
Everything in between.
I don't know, this is all about you, but this is one of the things I think that makes a marriage successful. Like, you still love your spouse, but you're also still in love with your spouse, and you still find your spouse sexually attractive. So you still have that connection. And people don't believe me when I say it, but it's
Well said.
separate comforters. Okay. I don't touch the laundry, and we make sure that we are both satisfied when we're naked, meaning that you don't, you know, the stereotype, oh, you know, the guy's 30 seconds later and the wife's sitting there holding her hands like Peg and Bundy, right? Peg and Al Bundy.
Right.
Even though that may be most of America, that's not my America. Like, we make sure that, you know,
Also
Everybody's
very
taken care of.
important.
my kids are not going to.
She comes first. That's right.
She does, absolutely. You have to. The
it's
woman
law,
has to
yeah.
come first.
All right. Okay. So
know,
I've been married
plus-
14 years.
Okay,
Mike, I don't know about you.
congratulations.
Peter, I don't know about you. But
yeah. I'm
yeah,
30.
30 a
yeah.
30-year, like a 30-year marriage is incredible.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that. What tips would you have for us besides 5 times a week of sex, which sounds.
Well, again, it's separate comforters.
Goals.
Separate comforters, because
You're
in
the
your-
only person I've ever heard say that, and I love
Me too.
this. I always
I said
do
the
this.
same
Yeah,
thing the
yeah.
first time he said it.
Yeah, separate comforters. Number
We've
one.
been
foremost.
doing this for years, and it's amazing.
Right, because then you have your own cocoon that you can. Because I don't sleep with anything on. So when I have the comforter, it's because I sleep hot. I'm a hot sleeper.
Yeah, prove it. Send pics.
Right. Nikki's always cold, so it works. It's always just worked, and that's been that way. I mean, God, I can't even remember us having one comforter ever. Maybe the first couple weeks, and that's like, yeah, this doesn't work. She does the laundry, so I do the dishes. Like, legit, that's kind of how it's been. If you know, whoever makes dinner, the other person cleans up dinner. But then I'll run the dishwasher when it's full, and I empty the dishwasher when it's full, because, you know, I do all the outside landscape stuff. She doesn't. She kind of maintains everything inside except for my little space, which is here. Never go to bed angry.
Okay.
And then we find things to do together. Like, once my first neck surgery was done in 14 and I was cleared in 15, I started running with her. And so we've we probably did 60, 70 half marathons since 2015. And that started with probably, I don't know, 40 or 50 5K, 10Ks, and a couple of 15Ks thrown in the mix. So, and now we work out together at EOS, and you know, I'm training her, and kind of, you know what I mean? So it's just, you find common things to do together, but then you also have to have your own space, right? You have to, you know, she does her thing with her job, I do my thing with my job, and so that way you're not on top of each other all the time. But we truly, because we have no really outside family interference, it's just us and our kids, and now Skylar's husband, Michael, and you know what I mean? It's just our little group, and we're just really tight and got each other's back. And
I think that right there
yeah.
is a key that a lot of people listening to this would say that's huge.
Which
Yeah.
part? They got each other's back? Because that's what stood out to me.
Yeah.
No, the one before that. They have no outside influence. They
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have-
Interesting.
They don't have any in-laws like breathing
No.
down their neck saying, why are you doing this with the kids? Why are you doing that with the kids? You know we taught you better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
That's
love also like
huge
we
for
got
a
each
lot
other's
of
backs,
people.
and I feel like if
I
you
do
can
too.
create a family culture that's
Yeah.
like we're on the same team, we all are in it with each other. I think that's amazing, and that's something that I'm aspiring to. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old now.
Right
and I
on.
like, keep reinforcing like, hey, this is the Palmer team. This is how Palmers act. This is
Yeah.
what we do.
That's good.
So yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
see
I
now
like
that
that too.
right, and see now that I've had little man, which is my oldest grandson. He's 5.5, just graduated preschool Wednesday.
Yes.
But I've had him every day since he was 3 weeks old, like Monday through Friday, and that's like our thing. So that helps, because then he's different with me than he is with Skylar, obviously, because I'm pop and she's mom, right? But the discipline goes both ways, which is kind of cool. So I'll put him in check, and then I'll let her know I put him in check so she knows. And he's at that age now where he's kind of wrapping his head around and understanding it. And then he remembers things, which is kind of cool because you see he processes it before he does something now. But it's cool because it truly can take a village, you know, to raise a child. And our village is just this tight-knit village, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
What about you? What do you feel is successful to have you know, strong? I mean, 14 years is no laughing matter either in this day and age.
No. The biggest thing for me is communications and setting clear expectations. And I think that so we got married in 2011, and in 2012 we moved to Seattle, and we didn't know anyone there.
Nice.
So all my family is here, all her family is here. And I just felt like if we didn't leave, we were going to end up like 10 years down the road being like, oh, we're roommates because you go do your thing with your family and your friends and your work, and I do my thing, and then we kind of just ships in the night.
That's cool.
So we literally
That's a cool concept.
uprooted our life, sold all of our stuff, quit our jobs, and moved out to Seattle without knowing anyone.
Wow.
And we had to really rely on each other. And what we learned in that process was that if we did not set clear expectations, I'm going to be home around this time, this is my plans for Saturday. There's a lot of disappointment and unmet expectations, which kind of led to a little bit of conflict.
Yeah.
And so it really helped us dial in our communication strategies and how we speak to each other.
That's cool.
And I feel like since then, we have not really ever had a fight. We talk things out. We may argue a little bit, but even the arguments are respectful and trying to see each other's point of view, because it's there's this level of trust built up that it's I know this person is never going to be malicious. I know they always want what's best for me. And for that reason, I can hear them out, whatever, even if what they're saying sounds crazy to me. And I think that's one of my favorite things. And then I just love laughing with my wife.
Right
we
on.
crack up. We're always laughing about something, laughing at our kids, laughing at whatever's going on. And I think that just being able to have those moments where we're just fully joyful, living in the moment together is creates a really strong foundation.
Yeah, one thing that stood out that you talked about right there was your arguments. Believe it or not, Nikki and I don't argue. Even when I was drinking, we never really argued. It came to a head towards the last couple weeks of it, and there was a blow up, which was rare for us, which is what led me to stop. So we do have discussions, but legit, Mike and I have talked about this before, where you'll see this perfect life on Facebook and social media, right? This couple, everything's, you've probably seen it too, Peter. Everybody's, look at our perfect life, love, 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 love. And then they're dark for a week, and then all of a sudden, fuck you, world. He's a piece of shit. I can't believe. And there's all of a sudden this spiraling downward just chaos. Because everything they were portraying was just fake and fairy tale, and that's just not life. Life is not fairy tale. It's struggles, and it's speed bumps, and not every day is planned, not every day is smooth. It's just there's so many things, and I think so many couples let that kind of beat them down,
thinking that it should be again, it's unmet expectations. It should be this Prince Charming, and it's not. Therefore, did I fail? Did I choose the wrong partner?
Yes.
Not understanding that they have to actually work on their relationship.
Some people got to work, right?
And get back to get centered. Those times when you're we're on the different pages. We're just not seeing eye to eye.
No,
you have to reconnect, and sometimes you got to eat a shit sandwich to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the benefit for Nikki and I, we started out so young. We were 20 and 25. I met her on her 20th birthday, and we both came from just fractured homes. So we both really were just accustomed to kind of fending for ourselves, and we were just opposite enough that it worked. And that's the cool thing about us. It just worked because of that. And then it was shotgun wedding. So everything was stacked against us for being successful. There's no way. And here we are 30 years later with only one glitch really, which was when I stopped drinking. We kind of parted ways for about 3 months because I couldn't be talked to as drunk Chris, so it took her a while to understand that, okay, sober Chris is cool. Sober Chris I can communicate with. Okay, and life's going to go on as it was because of my change that I made, and I stuck with it. I mean, I just passed 20 years in February.
Dude, you're a monster. You are so consistent, Chris. There's so many things that you've said in your life that dang, he's showing the coins right now.
Yeah, so
Yes.
this
Congratulations.
thank you. This is what I gave Nikki after the first year. So the top of it says a promise made, the bottom is a promise kept. and it has each coin, the 24 months. I mean, the 24 hours, the 30 days, the 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and a year. I'm sorry, 9 months, because then I gave her this, and then she got the year coin.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. In the middle of it's just the Serenity Prayer that you say at AA. So, and that's kind of the basis of what Mike and I started this thing for, was just helping people recover and, you know, just more life stuff. So, Peter and Mike, you've been very quiet.
You guys just stole the show. I was just, you know.
Yeah, we all can't talk over the top of each
True.
other.
Well,
There's 4 of us.
Let's dive into the whole, you know, the whole supplement stuff, you know, and just the health and wellness side of life, because Nate's got a really good take on stuff. Obviously, Peter, you got a great take on stuff. I've done, and just to be fair, I did Nate's thing. One of Nate's thing that stood out to me on the first show he and I did, because Mike had his difficulties, was the fasting. So Nikki and I did 2 weeks of fasting, this Sunday through Monday, which, Peter, I alluded to that because we started at night, and then, you know, we did it to the following night, and that worked great. We both saw kind of results. The doing your thing with the no bad starches and breads and things like that, I've seen a little bit of like Nate said, little leanness, but down on that little, you know, I don't really have fat, but, you know, the little, it's not love handles. I don't really have love handles.
Pooch?
Yeah, just a tiny little pooch. That's gone down from not eating bread and sugar.
Nice.
Right?
That's always the hardest thing to get rid of too.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. So difficult.
And then not that it's like, whoo, it was ever boom, but it's just, you know, you can look down and say, oh, you know, I have a tattoo in a certain spot. If I look down, I can see it.
Really? Well, let's see. Put it on camera.
The ratings went through the
The
roof.
rating went to the roof.
Yeah. We're spiking in Taiwan right now.
We are. We are.
Oh, man.
So go ahead, you two. Talk about your health and wellness stuff.
Peter, I'd love to hear a little bit about
Yeah.
kind of your take, maybe your philosophy on fitness, nutrition. If you had like any sort of like steps that you follow or things that you put people through, or what's really worked well for you, kind of like where are you at?
Yeah, you know, I believe in taking the right supplements. I feel like, you know, I said the supplement world is I would say the biggest scam in the world, just because we don't really know what's in it, due to the fact of like, hey, there's not that much studies on each supplement. We don't know really what's inside it, you know, and that's how I got into what I do now, is to help people balance hormones. I focus on really hormone balancing and really understanding people's chemical functions in their body. What I told Chris was like, I just help people get rid of the bad starches, the bad sugars, and make sure that the body doesn't get inflamed and bloated. So that's my take usually on the nutrition side of it, and just focus. Like, I really don't exercise. I'll be honest, Nate, I don't exercise. I just drink my water, take my drops, and lose weight and eat right. That's what it is.
Talk a little bit about like the hormonal side of things as it relates to starches. What do you notice? What does the science show us? Like why cut those out, and what does that do for us from a hormonal perspective outside of even just weight loss?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, you know, how it affects the hormones, it causes the hormones to be very imbalanced, especially when it comes to tiredness, lack of sleep, hard time sleeping, having a good night's sleep, and also because of the inflammation, it makes the body hard to more recover, especially throughout injuries that you may have. I feel like the bad starches really affect your recovery rate in terms of that.
When you say bad starches, I don't like using bad and good
Okay,
a lot of times. Can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. So let me in terms of my bad starches, it's processed food, processed starches, rice, noodles,
Do
tortillas.
you think rice is processed? I mean, it's barely processed.
I feel like it's processed enough where like you're not really getting the whole figure of it in terms of the whole food of it. That's just in my take. Like, I've noticed, like,
Okay.
if I eat rice and noodles, like my body's inflamed to like the max, and I look like an Oompa Loompa, or
You notice it in the mirror.
Yeah, I look in the mirror. I mean,
Even with rice, do you have a grass allergy?
I don't actually. I don't have, the only allergies I have is dust. But I've noticed that every time I eat like these processed, you know, carbs or starches, that my face just gets bloated.
See, I noticed that with stopping starches and breads, all my crackers and stuff, that the face kind of thinned out, right? Just not massively, but I can tell looking in the mirror after a week, like, oh, Go ahead.
That was one of the things we talked about the first time that caught my ear when we were talking just breads and starches and grains in general. Is I've heard that over and over, and not just from Peter. I mean, from people who have been in the business forever, that causes more inflammation than any other thing you're putting in your body.
Right, which neither one of us knew that. Like, and I think that correlates to the neck pain because it was inflaming along the 1 to 5 vertebrae where the pain was centered, and that's just
I have a very similar injury to
Right,
Chris, so
right.
we have that constant pain in common, and whatever you can do to alleviate that. I mean, I admitted on that show, I'm guilty of basically poisoning myself every day, right? Because I listened to hundreds of hours of these kind of talks. I'm not into fitness like you guys are, but luckily I was naturally gifted with not being able to gain weight. I have the opposite problem, right? If I don't continue to eat, I have a high metabolism, which is the opposite of most people. So,
Yep.
So going back to the starches, though,
Yes,
I feel
yes,
like
yes.
I like to kind of break this down in my head. I call it dehydrated starches.
Oh,
because again, like especially when I'm talking to my kids, I don't want to say good foods, bad foods.
That makes
I don't
that
like.
makes
I'll
sense.
say sometimes foods and always foods is like that's how the language I use with them.
Oh.
But for when I'm talking to adults and clients, I talk about dehydrated starches. That's your cereals, your granolas, your pastas, your bagels, your breads.
Okay.
Some of those sorts of things. I'm gonna agree to disagree on the rices though, because I feel like that is a fairly unprocessed, and like anything you get in a bag is going to have some level of processing.
Right.
White rice is polished, but there's not a lot going on with rice. And then if you look at the difference between a brown rice and a white rice, remember the brown rice, some people can argue there's more of the whole food than the white rice. Like from a vitamin and mineral standpoint, they are basically identical.
that's
There's
good
a tiny bit
because
more
I'm not
fiber
giving
in
up
brown.
rice. I could
Yeah.
give up bread and bagels. I think I could do that, but I'm not. I like rice too much.
I think that like a lot of times with when you see these like inflammation and pain, a lot of people will go gluten free,
Right.
and they're like, maybe I have a gluten intolerance.
That's
maybe
what
I have
Nikki
celiacs.
thinks. That's what Nikki
Sure.
was like. Maybe you have
But-
a gluten tolerance.
But what we're seeing now a lot more is that people are not necessarily seeing it as like, oh, you don't have a gluten intolerance. You have like you are just getting too much glyphosate. And what they're doing is they're spraying glyphosate, which is in Roundup and weed killer, on these plants, on these agriculture. And so we're getting a lot of that in our foods, in our waters. Like even if you look at like within 2 miles of a golf course, if you live within 2 miles of a golf course, you have a 74% higher chance of getting Parkinson's due to all the
No
pesticides
shit.
in the
I
water.
just saw that, Nate.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like there's a lot of stuff even outside of like the specific like phytonutrients and micronutrient breakdowns of specific foods that are playing into it.
Well, here I'll reinforce that point for
Hit
you
it.
because I live in agriculture USA, right?
Yes, you do.
I'm surrounded by farmland. This particular plot of farmland, I don't know if it's this county or just maybe central Illinois in general. I think they have it down to this county has the highest cancer rate of any other plot of land in the United States.
Oh, sheesh.
Say
Time to
that-
move.
say that again.
I actually know a real estate agent.
What have they been doing for eons now, spraying chemicals on, right? So you're not eating, I agree with you. You are not eating the same foods that our parents ate when they were growing up,
Absolutely.
right? Because
No.
they
Yeah.
weren't doing that. People were walking the beans. They were detasseling corn. Now all that stuff is either done with chemicals or by machines, right?
And here's something that stuck out when Nate was on the show before. Oh fuck, what was it? It was really fast food burgers. You take a fast food burger, you can chew it up and swallow it in 2 bites, right?
Yes.
So last time Nikki and I made burgers at home, I made a middle note: how many bites is it going to take me to chew this thing up and swallow it? It was probably 10 to 15.
A lot, yes.
But that's amazing. That to me was like
I paid attention to that too when I
Yeah.
listened to that show back, Nate. I was like, because occasionally I have guilty pleasures too. Maybe once, twice a month, probably not even that often. I'll stop at Wendy's and get one of those little hamburgers, the junior one.
Right.
Yeah, you can chew that. You can chew that thing one time and swallow it. Now the burger I make on the grill is made out of steak burger, right? You got to put some work into that, and it tastes good, right?
And you know what's crazy about that is that like since we were born to chew meat, essentially, that's why we have canines and molars.
Correct.
Like our faces are going through a de-evolution right now. Since the 60s, our faces are getting smaller, more narrow. Our palates are narrowing. People are needing to pull more teeth because of the crowding in there. And
Really?
our airways are getting blocked.
Me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we're not
They had
chewing.
to pull 8 of my wisdom teeth plus 4 of my permanent teeth. 4 of my permanent teeth went before they could put my braces on because my jaw was too small, right?
So like, but a lot of that is just from us only eating soft foods. Back in the day, you know, like if you're living in
100%. I'm agreeing with you for sure. Yeah.
and like they even say that like with the creation of fire and cooking our foods, our face is narrowed, and that we went from like a real square Neanderthal face to like more of like a
Really?
what we know today. Yeah, but now we see kids with just receding jaw lines, really small faces, really no like jaw at all. You can see kind of like it goes right neck to chin.
Yeah.
And it's just from never having to chew anything.
Wow. All right,
Evolution,
so
for
we
sure.
need to start injecting crunchy foods into our kids' diets, like carrots
Chewy
and
foods,
celery,
steaks.
Right.
Steaks.
steak, real burgers, not
Chicken.
McDonald's.
Chicken.
Chicken.
So
chicken,
I want to
chicken.
hear Peter's rebuttal on the rice
rebuttal,
yeah.
rebuttal, Peter.
because we're not arguing here. We're having a
these
friendly debate.
Exactly. These are two both really like we trust
Educated
and-
people, yes.
exactly, who know what the hell they're talking about. So Nate loves
And I want
rice.
to keep eating rice.
right.
I mean, Nate's right. You know, in terms of
Go,
how it all depends on how people process food, right? Like how he said, like, oh, some people will go gluten free.
Yeah.
So I would say it just depends on people's bodies. Like
Okay.
for me myself, I can't process rice as I should be, but hey, that's what it is for me. But a lot of people, they don't even know they have gluten allergies until they eat the food.
Then
So
let
I
me
feel
ask
like-
you this.
Go ahead.
So one camp says only white rice, the other camp says only brown rice. What is the benefit of one versus the other in your guys' opinion?
Got to pull the sleeves up.
That's
Nate.
my question, I guess.
Pull the sleeves up, Nate. Show the guns, man. Come on. Show the guns. There you go. This is body built by rice.
Yeah, so I've trained like probably touching like 1,500 clients now, like in person and online, and I've had 2 people who had a rice or like a grass allergy and couldn't eat it. Their bodies couldn't process.
That's
it.
understandable. I'm allergic
Yeah.
to dairy, right? I can't have
Oh, I'm
any
sorry.
dairy
Dairy's
at
so
all for
good.
any I know.
But in terms of white rice versus brown rice,
Yes.
there's really no difference. Like if you pull up like a nutrition facts that actually looks at the vitamins, the minerals, and the phytonutrients, all the things,
Right.
and it's so minuscule what the actual difference is across the board. And I think this is one of the things that like I hate the missing the forest for the trees mentality in fitness, where people are like, how many minutes should I cold plunge? I'm like, bitch, you don't walk. Like,
Right.
you haven't had a glass of water today. Like, you don't need
Yeah.
to cold plunge.
Yeah.
So they're like, should I have brown rice or white rice? I'm like, just have rice and stop eating French fries. Like, can we start with French fries and then move to rice? Like, don't stress too much about these little ass things that are not actually making a big difference in the grand scheme
Okay,
of
then
things.
let me ask Peter one question on that subject. Would you not agree that in Nate and Chris's case that they could probably eat all the rice they want because they're exercise freaks, right? It's probably not going to hurt them, where you and I are maybe a little more sedentary. I walk a lot. I do probably average 5 miles a day walking, so that's another reason I don't gain a lot of weight. But I'm thinking that if you're a fitness freak, rice isn't going to hurt you, right? As much as bread and bagels and cereal and, bad, right?
I mean, if you're exercising, you're gonna burn all that calorie off really quick. Especially if you're. Nate, do you eat rice at night, or do you just eat rice towards the morning before a certain time?
So I do what I call energy first fat loss, or it's like a low carb backloading. So I essentially put all of my carbohydrates around my workouts and in the PM. And so I do that in order to, as even if Mike is going on 5 mile walks per day, Chris and I are working out or whatever, we're burning through our muscle glycogen, right? So our muscles can hold about 11 grams of glycogen per pound. Our liver holds about 110 grams of glycogen in total. Glycogen is blood sugar or energy, and it fuels our muscles. So if you go through that your day and you burn through that, then you go have a big pile of rice, potatoes, whatever it is, even if it's bread and it's not like filled with chemicals. That is going to break down into glucose or blood sugar, and it is going to go into your muscle tissue. So the more muscle tissue, the more tacos you can eat. This is
Hear
the
that,
way.
Mike? Hear that, Mike? The more muscle tissue, the more tacos you can eat, brother.
So if you kind of like,
Love it.
if you kind of
I
use your
love it.
body's natural biochemistry, like where you realize you're burning through glycogen and then you're able to replace the glycogen, your body's never going to be actively looking to store fat. You are training it to store those calories and that energy as fuel for later. And so the more the exercise you're doing, the more the push-ups you're doing, even if you're just doing 10 squats every hour that you're working, you're sitting at a desk, doing down a couple push-ups, that is going to compound over time. And like, I know you guys said you guys are not really into exercise. I would love to see you crush a little bit of exercise and start building that up, even to 5 minutes a day. Like it just pays off massive dividends, like a 401k, right? Yeah. You could start that when you're 60, but you don't have to put in thousands of dollars, hundreds of hours, or you could start right now and really just put in like $100 a month and still see some really good returns over time.
See, now I told Jake that when he was in 7th, 8th grade, he wanted to play football. I told him you need to do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups every day. Right? Not consecutively because he wasn't there strength wise, but I said, and I used to call it 100, 100. So at night, did you do 100, 100? No, I didn't. So and he never grasped that concept. So by the time he got to high school and he was playing football and he played all 4 years at Basha, he was a great athlete, but he was never a starter. And part of it was he wasn't as bulky as the other kids. So fast forward out of high school.
The whole Soprano scenario.
Right. Fast forward to high
Never
school.
had the makings of a varsity athlete.
Right, but now he's in the Marines, and he's told me a few times, like, I really should have listened to you, Dad, because it was the thing. It's like there's nothing you can't accomplish with your own body because it's your own body. It's the one body you have. This is it. There's nothing else, which is why it frustrates me when I see people that are so. I'm not saying this to be mean, but just so overwhelmingly obese and out of shape and unhealthy. Like you have one life. You cannot be comfortable 100 pounds overweight. You just can't. You can't be happy with yourself.
I think we all agree with that.
Right. So but I think the reason why our world has gone that way, because I think you both will agree, Peter and Nate, we are the most obese country in the world.
We are.
And it's because of the shit that people eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly want to hear, Peter, I want to hear your take. Why are we in the U.S. right now so unhealthy? Give me like what are your main reasons? What do you see?
Dude, I think everything's just too convenient. I feel like you can go to one spot. I'll be honest, like right down the street from me, we have a Subway, Chipotle, Taco Bell, Carl's Jr., Del Taco, McDonald's, Jack in the Box. Like, how convenient is that? Just go like a minute away and just go through the drive-through. And I mean, we're taught to be lazy. I'm sorry to say this, but we're taught in school to be lazy as heck. We don't go to the grocery store. We don't shop. We're not disciplined to ourselves, and I think that's the reason why.
For the most part, people don't menu plan. We menu plan. We figure out what we're going to eat for the week. Nate does it too. You meal prep. There was a time where when Nikki is full blown into school, like school just ended, but she'll make her 5 meals Sunday for her lunches, but that's the thing. It's failure to plan is why America's fat. Do you like that?
I think Peter's right though. Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily failure to plan. There's probably a component of that in there, and I don't think it's necessarily that we eat poorly. Although that's a big piece of it.
Sure.
I think it's literally the convenience aspect,
right,
and how comfortable we've gotten. And I think that like our culture is set up for us to get more and more comfortable. You guys ever seen WALL-E?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Dude, we're still in WALL-E right now.
We're not yet. We're getting there
close,
soon.
Dude.
We're close.
Especially as AI creeps up more and more and takes more people's jobs. And we're starting to go to a universal basic income. There's going to be like VR worlds and people are just going to be like living in their things, selling bits of their mental screen to Albertsons to advertise on there because everything is so convenient. Like Peter, you mentioned you got 5 things a minute away. Why even walk a minute away when you could have DoorDash bring it to your house?
Right.
You can sit on your couch and watch Netflix, movies on demand, listen to any music that you want in the history of the world, have food delivered to your doorstep. We are being gradually conditioned to be lazier and lazier because like people want to pay for that.
Even crazier than that, Nate, those same people that are sitting on their couch eating that hamburger will be for saving the animals. Right? They're sitting there watching a documentary on saving the animals.
Not for saving themselves though.
No.
While they're eating a hamburger. No. That's what fascinates me. It's like, do you not see the disconnect, people?
No, people don't get it. It's crazy. And to Peter's point, when you drive by those places, there's always a line, right? There's always like 10, 15 cars deep. Yeah. Did you see the thing about In-N-Out Burger coming out last week, saying they're taking away the artificial ingredients on their menu?
Wow.
Right?
I didn't see that.
In-N-Out Burger. Like they stepped up and said, "Hey, just so you know, we're removing some of the artificial ingredients in our foods." Really?
Who does that? Yeah.
Well, number one, they admitted it, and then
Right.
number two, we're going to remove it, and then they just dropped the menu I saw yesterday scrolling. They have it's basically a protein like a post workout type thing. Like if you and it wasn't bad. Like I read it, it was like, wow, that's cool. So like you'd have a burger and it had 316 calories, but it had 45 grams of protein, and they broke it down to what was in the burger that helps you, because Nate, you do stuff on your Instagram page that you will go to a drive-thru and you know how to eat healthy at a drive-thru. So all these restaurants that Peter just talked about, the little nuances to order to where you're not eating shit. You're eating something that's actually healthy and good for you.
It's. I would say it's not good for you, but
Okay.
it's like the best or least
alternative.
evil. Yeah.
Right. But
We all end up in a drive-through occasionally, We're like
Absolutely.
Mike said, you're at Wendy's. I just did a Wendy's one. I got to edit it up and put it on social media. But
Oh, right
I
on.
think, Peter, to your point, the epidemic is comfort. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not food. It's not lack of exercise. It's not sunscreens. Not seed oils. It's we're addicted to comfort. We're addicted to our cell phones. We're addicted to quick dopamine hits, and that is what's going to kill us slowly, like a frog boiling in water. And by the time it's too late, which I think it's already too late, we're going to look up and be like, "Wow, that's not what we wanted for 2025."
That little segment you guys just did. That was outstanding.
Absolutely.
That was
Thanks. Have us back on, and we'll do it again.
And I would agree with Nate, Peter. I know that you're younger than the rest of us. Don't ever apologize for telling people that they're not going to get healthy unless they do X, Y, and Z. We're not going to change unless people listen to hard facts, right?
Rip it off like a Band-Aid, dude. Don't have a filter, especially on our show. Rip it off
no
like
filter.
a Band-Aid.
You don't need to say heck.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
I had a conversation with a client the other day, and he was basically, we've been going back and forth for a while. He's been trying to do like the minimal effective dose of like drinking water, getting walks in, really just like the bare minimum.
Sure.
And he was like, "Am I ever going to be successful?" He was just like real raw, like not getting results, kind of depressed. "Am I ever going to be successful?" And I said, "No, you will never be successful."
Good.
And he was like, "What do you mean by that?" And I was like, the day I know you're going to be successful is the day you come back to me and you say, "Hey, I know I said I was going to commit to doing 20-minute walks for 5 days. I did 45-minute walks every day." The day I know you're going to be successful is the day you say, "Hey, I meal prepped for this week even though you didn't ask me to. Hey, I went to the gym and I knocked out 100 push-ups even though you didn't ask me to."
Right.
And that's how I know you'll be successful. And until you say those words to me, you will never be successful, because your current question is, "Hey, I know I didn't do my walk today, but I did do some gardening. Does that count?" You're only screwing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I have a friend that's going through a journey, and he kind of, unfortunately for him, he told me he was trying to lose weight.
Don't say it if you don't mean it.
Well, because I'm that accountability guy. Like, if you bring me into that world, and I lit him up. I kept letting him up. I kept checking in on him. I still do. And my thing, because I learned from you, Nate, was okay. We're gonna call him Bob. So I told Bob, you need to walk an hour a day. I said 30 minutes in the afternoon, 30 minutes in the evening. Grab your wife and kids, go make them walk with you in the evening, so you're all doing it together. He asked about food. I said, well, I've watched him eat, and so I know how much he piles on. I was like, okay, maybe scale that back. Eat healthier portions. It doesn't matter what you eat per se, but it matters how much of that you eat. So you could sit there and I could eat 5 steaks, right? Or I could eat 5 Sonic cheeseburgers. That's not healthy, eating that kind of amount of shit, right? But if I had 1 steak and a good carb and then a good vegetable and you know what I mean? That's a well-rounded, healthy meal to have. So he wasn't doing that. Bob would pile his plate up. And I've continued to poke at him. He downloaded the MyFitnessPal app. I told him to track everything, and I followed up with that. Well, I didn't track it. Fucking track it, dude. It's not that difficult. You wake up in the morning, he's eating oatmeal for breakfast every day. Okay, well, that lowered his cholesterol level, which his doctor told him, so that's good. So he's baby stepping stuff. But to your point, next time I talk to him, Nate, I'm going to kind of bring it up in that aspect. Like,
Well, you
if
have
you're
to change your habits, too,
right?
right?
Thank you. Yes, it's everything. That's with the bread and the starch thing we talked about, Peter. In my mindset, if it works, I'm not going back. So I'm hesitant to go back to rice because my neck hasn't hurt. Even though Nate's saying rice isn't a big deal, quinoa doesn't really digest, blah, blah, blah. And I can totally get that. I've never had a problem with that part of my body. I freely go 3 to 5 times a day.
This has been good. We got some like Chris's poop information,
Right.
sex information.
Right.
Like just
You know,
This is good.
But
Yeah.
but it's a healthy thing though, right? It's my body. I treat my body.
I honestly don't know if
with
pooping
respect.
5 times a day is healthy. I would have to ChatGPT that.
Well, I
That
don't-
sounds excessive.
I don't know if it's that amount.
Also, how
of
do you have time? Like, that's why you're posting so much.
Right.
Get it now.
I don't
Every
take-
now and then he just every now and then he just likes to let people know that, you know, it's
I don't
probably
take-
more
I
like
don't-
Was that like a weird poop flex? Like,
No,
hey,
I
I
don't-
poop a lot more than you. That's
I just as a little this is funny little bit. I don't take my phone into the bathroom because I think that's disgusting. When I go in
Judge
a
me,
public
Chris.
restroom, okay,
Yeah,
check this out.
Jesus.
I want you all to
That
do
was-
this.
that
When
was
I go
harsh.
when I go into a public restroom, okay, and I walk in and I hear somebody on the phone in the stall, okay,
yeah.
and I'm the only one in there besides them. I'll do my urination in the urinal, right? I'll wash my hands, and then they're still talking. I'll lean back and just where that light switch is, boop, and shut the door. They cannot say anything because if they do, the person they're talking to is going to know they took them in the bathroom, not only in the bathroom, but into the closed door part of the bathroom, sat down, is having a conversation the entire time.
that's diabolical. I love
It
it.
is diabolical,
It
and
is.
it's hilarious. And then you gotta hurry your way out just to make sure that
It
nobody
is
sees that you
diabolical,
left.
and it's hilarious.
I've done it about 2 or 3 times, and only one time someone's like, "Hey!" So don't take your phone to the bathroom, boys and girls, and don't go to a public restroom if I'm on the premises, because if you do, that's what's going to happen to you.
Oh, that's my key takeaway from this episode.
Yeah, turn off the light in the bathroom.
He knows he's in the minority, right?
Yeah, no, that's in the prime scrolling time. I've got 2 little kids.
Every mother in the world's like, that's my only private time in the
Yeah, this is me time.
You know, I had to do traffic survival school not too long ago, and the instructor was talking about, you know, it was a Zoom call, and this person who was on the class, first hour and 30 minutes before the first break, he was in the bathroom on his phone on the Zoom, and when he got up, right, the phone fell. And she's like, and the instructor's like, I was scarred for about 3 or 4 months because I saw everything. Because he was on his phone, he stood up and he dropped it. So I'm thinking the vantage point was not very attractive at all, and he may have been making sure the backside was clean. She didn't go into details, but, you know, scarred for life.
Zooming in the bathroom.
That's a whole different level.
Yeah.
That's over the
Right?
top.
Wow.
With
that's-
19 other people in the class, mind you.
we deserve anything that's coming to us at that point.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'll agree with you there.
All right, so hey, this is Chris and Mike Show. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure you follow us on the socials, subscribe on YouTube, as that helps you understand when we're dropping all our shorts. Both Nate and Peter have shorts that have dropped or will continue dropping, because that's what we do. When this show's all done, Mike will edit everything down, and then we'll have more shorts just from these guys together with us. So all those things populate. We've also been putting them on Instagram now as well. So if you want to learn all the hints and tips in the short version, YouTube, subscribe, and the reels on Instagram and Facebook. And that's all.
We're actually releasing all the secret information in the reel. So if you don't subscribe, you're going
Right.
to miss out on the real truth that we're discussing
You are
off
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
got to play
yeah.
them backwards.
You got to play them backwards to Led Zeppelin 4, side 2. Okay, in a dark
Only real
lit
ones
room.
know.
Right. So what else do you health and fitness guys want to talk about today? And by the way, it's about 10 to 10, so we got about 20 minutes left because Nate's got a hard stop at 10 after, so we don't want to jeopardize his time and his other commitments.
What else do you have to pick Peter's brain, or Peter, what do you want to pick Nate's brain about, vice versa, I guess?
Nate, in terms of exercising, what do you recommend for people per week? I mean, I hit the gym now, but I'm just saying, like, in a beginning standpoint, because I tell this to beginners too. But what would you say as a beginner? How many times a week should they at least hit the gym or go for their walk? I mean, I feel like walking should be an everyday thing, but let's say hit the gym.
So I have my program is tiered out into like 6 steps. The first one is get off sugar. That's why we have that 5-day sugar detox.
Right,
Get that
right.
at thefreesugardetox.com if you want to grab it for free.
FreeSugarDetox.com. You said that fast.
Thefreesugardetox.com.
Yes,
you can
yes,
just download it.
Yep.
So then after you get like kind of break addiction with sugar, you do a fast, you kind of reset your body's natural set point of like fullness. Then I have the get moving stage. And the get moving stage is really just about creating that sacred time to exercise, to train. And that's walking. And I think if you can walk for like 40 minutes to 60 minutes every single day, you're going to be in a good spot. You're going to be able to lose weight like that. You don't even need to hit the gym to do that. And then get fueled, get clear, then get strong, or something like that. And then this that's like stage 4 or 5 is where I start introducing people to lifting. And I think that minimum you should be doing 2 days per week. I think everyone could do 2 days, 2 full body days, 45 minutes in and out the door, staying super efficient with your time and your exercises. Make sure they're programmed appropriately so you're not like over deloading your low back or trying to do anything too crazy. I think that's perfect for a lot of people. And then I think if you want to really improve your results, 3 to 4 days per week. And I actually try to get guys off of this 6-day per week body part split that a lot of them are doing. And what I notice is that when I take guys who are training 5 or 6 days per week down to 3 or 4 days per week, they get better results because they didn't even realize that they were overtraining for their amount of recovery they were able to do.
That's what I was doing with Orange Theory. 8 workouts a week, 6 of which were back to back, and I outshaped Orange Theory, and I stopped seeing gains.
Yeah.
So now that I don't do Orange Theory, now I'm more focused on weight training and not so much the running and shit. You saw it today, Nate. Just
I'm still seeing it. Yeah.
Right.
Every time you raise your arms, I see it. Yeah. But I think 2 to 4 times per week is perfect. I think if you hate the gym, you still have to go. I think still going and training and building muscle, because muscle is one of the most metabolically healthy tissues that is going to help us age appropriately, keep us from breaking our hips. I got a friend who just turned 40. She's super sedentary, and she just said, I turned 40, my body imploded. She like broke her ankle, tweaked her other knee, like her shoulder. She had a frozen shoulder. And I was like, I love you, but like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
You haven't moved in 2 decades. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Right.
So like now I have people going to the gym and like just even doing little things like step ups or hip thrusts or pull downs and stuff like that. You're not just building muscle. Like, I think everyone has this idea of like, oh, I'm gonna build all this muscle.
Right.
We're gonna look like Chris.
Right.
Yeah, you're not gonna drive your car around town and be like, oh, I'm Jeff Gordon. Suddenly I'm too good at driving. No, like that doesn't happen. Right. So like, but you're building strength in like the ligaments, the tendons, the joints. You're bulletproofing your body. So when you go hiking that 1 time per year and you roll your ankle on the trail, it doesn't completely derail you because you've been doing step ups. You've done things that have made you harder to kill. And I think there's a lot to be said for being harder to kill than there is to having like a super ripped 6-pack and being like all oily and standing on a stage.
Yeah.
Although being oily is kind of nice.
So here's another thing I want to touch on, because from a male standpoint, guys want abs. Guys want to be able to look in the mirror and see their 6-pack, their 8-pack, whatever it is, right? I can hold a 9.5 minute plank, like we've talked about that. And if I took my shirt off, I don't have the, you can't see my core rip, right? And so Nikki and I have talked about it to where, and I think you both alluded to this at some point in time when we had you in our show, building your core and flattening your core and things like that, that's all about movement. It's not necessarily doing, like I can do 500 core exercises and not be out of breath, but that's not necessarily making the visual of my core there. I have amazing core strength, right? Because I couldn't hold a plank that long if I didn't. But from a visual aspect, it's more about constantly moving, and obviously part of what the diet is. I can see Nate's brain swimming, right? So it's part of what intake is, correct?
Yes. They say abs are built in the kitchen. That's not true. Abs are built with exercise and revealed in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So you can lose all the fat, but if you can hold a 9-minute plank, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a 6-pack. Your core is made up of a bunch of different muscles, right?
Sure.
So your core, when you're training up your plank position, that's like a pillar position. You're doing a farmer's carry, you're doing a plank, you're doing a side plank. You're training your what's called your transverse abdominis. And your transverse is this muscle that wraps around your waist like a girdle. It is super important for keeping your low back healthy, making sure that you can transfer power from the ground to up, like your upper body. So it's great for football players. You have to have this. Pilates is great for training this, but not a lot of Pilates instructors have 6-packs.
No.
And the reason for that, because like we have the transverse, right? We have the internal external obliques. We have the spinal erectors. And then we have what's called the rectus abdominis. That's your 6-pack. Those are the front muscles.
Okay.
And in order to build a 6-pack, you need to train your rectus abdominis like they're your biceps. So these 50 rep crunches, these 9-minute planks, they're not going to build thick, chunky muscles.
Right.
Like you see like a guy like Thor, the mountain, Thor Bjornsson.
Yeah.
You see like some like Eddie Hall, some of these guys who are 300 plus pounds and have like a crazy 6-pack.
Right.
It's because their core muscles are so developed and chunky that even at 22% body fat, you can still see them through the musculature. So there's 3 exercises that I always recommend people train if they want to build a visible 6-pack.
Right.
Ab wheel rollouts.
Oh, those are awesome. Yeah, those because I don't do crunches and shit because I always fucked with my neck. So my other I don't do, but the ab rollouts those are fucking legit right there.
And you know they're legit because Rocky did them. Yeah.
And
so-
one, they're harder than people think.
right.
Well, they're hard if you do them right. A lot of
Yeah,
people do
yeah.
them wrong and
I
put them in
know.
their low back. So
I know.
ab wheel rollouts,
Yeah.
toes to bar, hang it like a hanging leg raise, and then a rope abdominal crunch, like the crunch with you do with the rope and the weight.
So where's
Because
the
when
rope?
you're
Where's
doing
the
that-
where's the? Oh, so you're on the lat machine or the?
Yeah.
Like a cable pull down.
Okay.
And so now you're doing 10 to 12 reps
Okay.
with something where you're actually squeezing your abs
Okay.
and you'll start to build that big blocky six pack look.
So just so I understand, so the machine where you put the rope and you got the handles like this, like it's like a V, right? And you can do them for the traps and
I
that
use
kind
the
of
rope.
thing.
I use the rope and I kind of put it here and I squeeze my forehead with my hand with my heads like
Okay.
this. That way everything is coming from my core. So I
Okay.
arch up a little bit, get a little
Okay.
stretch in the abs,
Yeah.
and then I draw my sternum
Okay.
to my pelvis.
Okay.
Because everybody wants to go down like this. That's
you
why
wanna
sit-ups
fold.
don't really work because
like
you're
this?
doing
Like that.
kind of. We want to do it kneeling. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And you want to actually literally crunch these two areas together and get them as tight as possible.
Okay.
Most people use their hip flexors for abdominal movements.
Okay,
And
I'm
the
gonna try
way
that.
we negate this is like next level tip right here.
Okay.
Is you take a medicine ball or you take a foam roller and you put it between your calves and your butt. So you're kneeling, basically sitting on a foam roller. And when you are squeezing that foam roller between your calves and your butt, you're activating your hamstrings. Okay. Now, when you squeeze your biceps, right, can you activate your triceps?
Yeah.
No.
No. If you squeeze your what?
Biceps,
No. If I activate what though?
triceps.
Oh hell no! I thought you referenced core. No,
They're
hell, that's impossible.
antagonists,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
when you squeeze your biceps, you basically force your triceps into a mini yoga session.
Okay.
Your hip flexors and your hamstrings are also antagonists.
Okay.
So if you do something that's called antagonistic inhibition, where you are activating your hamstrings,
Okay.
now you can't use your hip flexors for this movement, and it has to be all into your abs.
Okay.
So I'll take guys who say they can do unlimited amounts of crunches,
Mm-hmm.
long-term planks. I give them 50 pounds of additional resistance and take their hip flexors out of the equation,
Okay.
and all of a sudden they're like, they got baby deer legs in their abs.
Okay.
And so if you can train your abs in this way, in a very specific way that is like, I did 50 pounds last week, I'm doing 60 pounds this week, and then you
Okay.
kind of continue to build,
Yeah.
you will build the blocky abs, but just time and just reps are not going to do it. And I don't know why we started treating abs like a muscle we should do 100 reps of. They're like any other muscle. They respond well to high stress, high tension.
Okay. So ab roller, the pull down ropes on your knees. What was the other one?
Hanging leg raises or toes to
Hanging
bar.
leg raises. That's right.
Knees to elbows is also a good fit too. There's another one called gar hammer raises, which sounds really crazy, but it's literally just like you holding onto an incline bench
Yeah.
and then bringing your knees up.
Oh yeah, I've done those.
Yeah.
I've done those. I've done it. to
Gar
where-
hammer
where
raises,
I do it to where I have
3,000.
where I'll have a 60-pound dumbbell on my you hold it like that, and then I'm on a bench, and then I'll crunch up with my legs. Or I'll
Okay,
just-
cool.
or I'll
Like on a
just-
flat bench or a incline?
flat bench.
Okay. I never tried that. I'm going to try
Yeah,
it today.
yeah. It's one of the things I started doing when I was in my boot for 8 months. I needed to figure out something to do, so I would put
Just
a
a
medicine.
million ab exercises.
So I put a medicine ball between my ankles, a 20-pound medicine ball between my ankles, and I'd leave my legs up. I'd leave it up a little bit at an angle, and then I would just with the dumbbell. Want to talk about burning? And then every now and then one of the trainers would come punch me in the stomach, and I'm like, oh yeah, just punch.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah. We got about 10 minutes left. Anything else you guys want to cover? Peter? But I know. So Nate had saw that I showed the HempWorks supplement stuff, drops. So he that was like, oh, I want to talk about that. So here you go, Nate. Talk about the drops.
Well, Peter, can you tell me about the drops a little bit first?
My
You mentioned
drops
it
are
earlier. You said I don't exercise, I drink water, I take my drops, and I lose weight. Go on.
Yeah, so technically, I like to have all natural things, like from plant to bottle, and that's the most important part because I feel like talking about chemical process things, I believe in making sure that I use my plants, my roots, everything from our ancestors to really put in my body because we grew up with that. Just like how Nate was saying that we used to just eat and chew meat all day, and now our face looks like skinny and no muscular. I believe our body heals a lot more different when it comes to homeopathic and holistic healing. And that's really what it is we use plants. We use the plants, we put it in the bottle, we mush it up, and we take that and put it into people's bodies, and it helps people balance their hormones and also give them energy depending on which drops you take. So one of them balances the hormones. One of them gives you energy from the green tea extract, the B12 vitamins. But that's what it is. That's what my drop does. I'm not sure what Chris has, but
What does the hormone balancing drop have in it, and how does that help with balancing hormones?
I believe I will actually read it off right now. Actually, I want to stand correctly here. I don't want to like ruin anything. I'll make sure I'm reading the right one. Here we go. It has the B12 vitamins, the biotin, the rosehip fruit extract, the acerola. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly. Green tea leaf, ashwagandha roots actually, and Rhodelia rosea roots.
Okay, so it's got some adaptogens in there. It's got the green tea. That's the one that's supposed to balance the hormones, though.
Correct.
I don't understand the mechanism by which that would happen.
Which part?
Well, number one, what are hormones? Like, we have a bajillion hormones, and I
Right.
feel like balance hormones is a catchphrase that is essentially meaningless unless you're telling me that it is actually helpful in facilitating like like insulin sensitivity or ghrelin and leptin, talking about testosterone or human growth hormone or something like that. But there's a lot of different hormones in a lot of different endocrine processes. So balancing hormones is probably more complicated than taking drops. Plus,
Right.
like when I'm hearing the ingredients, I didn't know the one that started with the C or an S that you said, but everything else doesn't in my like research wouldn't be like a hormone balancing first. Those adaptogens, they say like they are good for building energy and then relaxing your central nervous system. The green tea extract is going to help give you a little bit of energy, perhaps like with some fat burning, but that's like no different from a cup of coffee. So I don't see it like in that way. And I mean, not like obviously you have your experience and it's working for you. So like, I feel like there's always that, you know, like some people are like, I love aminos, and some people are like, I don't get anything from aminos. But I just don't understand the balancing hormones, which is why I'm pushing back on that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of I feel like there's more to it, and I know that we do research on it, third-party testings, but I feel like it mainly focuses on the stress hormones, the cortisol levels, and using ashwagandha and the ingredients to really help balancing that area. So I'm gonna rephrase. I think you're correct. If I say balance hormones, it gets kind of complicated more than saying that. But if you look at for example, for me, the ashwagandha really helps with my stress hormones, really lowering that stress level to really balancing everything else out, like my leptin, my hunger hormones, making sure that I don't eat and snack anytime I want to have.
No crackers.
No crackers.
But also really showing that my body, taking all that stress out, takes all that bloating out in my whole body too. So
Gotcha. So like you're using kind of the stress as your lead domino, which
Yes.
helps you avoid the snacking, avoid like the hunger cues, avoid
Right.
like that bored, stressed, tired like eating that we get
Right.
a lot of.
and
So you're
better
using
sleep.
this as kind of your like the way that you stay like level,
Right.
and that leads to those like downstream effects. Is what you're saying.
Correct.
Cool. Hey, so we got about 4 minutes left. This is the Chris and Mike Show. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. Follow us on Instagrams and Facebooks. Now, I want Nate to have a chance to plug all his stuff, so I want you to, where people can find you, the best route to find you online, things like that, socially, and then we're going to let you do the same thing, Peter, so we can wrap this thing up on time so Nate can get on with his day. So go ahead, Mr. Nate Palmer, the $1 Million Body.
Hit me on Instagram at _ $1 Million Body. I post daily, sometimes even good stuff, So like, no, don't get crazy. Like it's like 20% of the time. The rest is trash. But check that out there. If you want to see my book, The $1 Million Body Method, kind of like and it gives you a 28-day plan for how you can get leaner and live longer. Check that out at getnatesbook.com. And if you want the free sugar detox, go to thefreesugardetox.com.
There you go. What about you,
Thanks
Peter
for coming
Ho?
to my TED Talk.
You can find me on Instagram at Uncle Peter.
Uncle
Uncle
Peter.
Peter.
Spell it
Spell
out.
that.
UNKOH though, right?
No, it's UNKOPEETAH.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm from Hawaii, Nate. I'm originally from Hawaii. We call each
Yeah.
other Uncle Aunties. I
I can't fathom why you can't eat rice. That's blowing my mind.
Well, he eats spam, man. We had a big conversation about spam and all the different variables with spam.
Sorry, I'm sorry, interrupting your time right now.
Yeah, okay, so start over. Do it. Pitch yourself again there, Peter, so people can find you.
If you can find me on Instagram at Uncle Peter, UNKOPEETAH.
And that's it. Simple.
That's it.
Simple.
Keep it
Now,
simple.
Mike, where can people find you?
At the Chris and Mike Show.
There
All
you go.
over.
There we go.
YouTube,
YouTube, there you
Instagram,
go.
Facebook, Spotify,
There you
Apple.
go.
I like your lava lamp bong in the background,
It does.
Mike. That's
it
cool.
It is a lot.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I've been threatening to take it away and put it in front of me instead of behind me, and I get pushed back on that.
Well, that's
so
because all
there
you
it
would do
is.
the entire show to be staring at your lava lamp, like, "Hey, man, the colors."
I got one right here that nobody can see.
All right.
I would 100%
I have
smoke
my
weed
own.
out of that with you, Mike.
I would let you.
Okay, hey, boys and girls, just so
We
you know,
might be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. We always end the show this way. Don't let the bad days win. Suicide is not an option if you're feeling depressed and hurt and shallow and sad and just frustrated with life, whatever. Talk to somebody, because tomorrow, if you don't wake up, you're going to make somebody's heart break. Somebody loves you whether you believe it or not. So just be mindful of that. Reach out. There's all kinds of resources for you, AA, NA, all kinds of stuff. Go online, Google machine. There's help for depression, suicide, that kind of jazz. Don't let the bad days win, because someone will miss you, especially us, because you're here watching the Chris and Mike Show. We can't
That's
do this
right.
without you.
We can't
So-
afford to lose any listeners at this point.
No, everybody loves you, because we're all in the same race, man. We're all terminally ill. We're trying to be the best versions of ourselves until that day comes. Oh, I thought Nate was gonna flex. Come on, Peter, flex. Come on, Mike, flex. Let's end it on flex. Yeah.
Do you think
Peter-
everyone on the podcast knows that I didn't have pants on for this one?
Probably. I don't.
You can tell.
Sometimes
I'm not
you
wearing
know,
any
yeah,
pants either.
yeah,
As far as they know, none of us
yeah,
are wearing
yeah.
pants. And Nate just proved it.
That's fantastic. We're gonna have Peter Ho, Nate Palmer back. We'll drop
You
all
guys
this
are
stuff
awesome.
on our socials. Everybody have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you both for
Peace.
doing this. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Your knowledge is fantastic. I love everything you shared. It's going to help those that need some insight from living a healthy and happier life.
We'll do it again, guys. Thanks
Absolutely.
very much.
Thank you.
For sure. Excited for that.
Peace.
Peace.
Quickly, we're gonna fly and disappear. Look the tablet, go insane. Feel the juice flow through your veins. On your journey, take it slow to the place where you will go. Feel the trail behind your eyes. Feel the sorrow beneath your nose. Take a moment, listen to your fear. Fight the battle that you must win. Fight the battle that you must win. Listen, baby, to your fear. Yeah. Listen to your fear. Now you're turning, come down in. You haven't found solid sand. You keep on fighting, wait for the day when you close your eyes and it fades away. You ain't no creature with a praying man.